Hey, this is Matt. Once again, what about another review? There's another paid request, this time for Nate. And for those interested in requesting a review or a topic or randomness or out of blueness, reaction, commentary, pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And before, should have done this before, you always want to stretch, even when you're sitting on your butt. Now, Logan came out in 2017. The last incarnation of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Finally getting to see Wolverine in an R-rated light. I do think this is a pretty good movie. Now, it's one of those things that I have to look at it. It's a what-if story. It's a what-if story. Because if you look at it as a sequel to X-Men and X-Men 2, you really like those movies. It's very depressing. And it says based on Old Man Logan, but very, very loosely because 20th Century Fox made this. Most of the characters utilized in the actual story you could not use because the actual Old Man Logan dealt with different parts of the country are led by different villains, including Doctor Doom or Magneto or an inbred Hulk, as in like a Hulk who had inbred kids who killed Wolverine's family at one point. At one point, the Hulk swallowed Wolverine, and Wolverine shot out of the wolf's stomach and killed the Hulk. And I believe Hawkeye was blind, and it was his buddy for a while. And then at one point, one of the baby Hulks Logan finds and raises it as his own. And there's at one later part of the story, there is a female, but I think she becomes a female Thor. And it does, it's an Old Man Logan, and it does feature one of the later stories that he does have this type of poison that slowly messes up his healing ability. And in one of the stories, he does ultimately die. So that's the part that are based and put into this. But there's a lot of new material. And James Mangold, who directed The Wolverine and directed this, my favorite of his is still Copland, Sylvester Stallone film. I think what it is we finally get the R-rated Wolverine, but it's for this what if, and I say that as in the what if comics I grew up with. Like, what if Venom, the symbiote, possessed the Punisher? And what if Spider-Man did join the Fantastic Four? And I know they had a what if cartoon that looked lame and looked awfully animated and awful stories. So it's a cool concept. They ruin it with a bunch of fun, terrible animation and politics. But anyway, so it's like, oh, we'll finally get Wolverine, the R-rated character, and then Berserker Rage, but it's for this very depressing tale. That's try to be more unforgiving. So again, as a what if movie, it's good acting, capable direction, R-rated action, well handled. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart do a good job. So it was, I think when I first saw this, it was that weird dichotomy of, oh wow, it's brutal and it's got heart to it, but man, it's really depressing, and that's not really what I wanted in a Wolverine. In the last Wolverine film, to be so depressing, I wanted to be a hardcore, kick-ass, like the video game of Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. The video game of that is pretty damn cool. It's like that's what you'll. Again, so it's this weird dichotomy of you finally get it, but then it's for a story like But it's pretty good. He's a Wolverine at this point. There hasn't been a New Mutant born in like 25 years, and most of the X-Men are gone, and even Wolverine, Logan is pretty much, what did we do? What was the point of it? It was all pointless, and you can't really blame him for thinking that, because you, the viewers, think it the same way. And from the get-go, you realize the movie's not playing around because these people are trying to mess with his limo because he's a limo driver. And he cuts an arm off or under the chin and in the head. You finally see the Wolverine you wanted to see. You only got a teeny bit of it in X-Men 2 when the bad guys infiltrate the school. But you tell there's a poison within him, the adamantium. His healing is slowed down. He's aging more so than he was before. He's in the middle of nowhere taking care of Professor X, who has dementia. He has these psychic dangerous seizures. You get the idea that he accidentally, because of these, killed most of the X-Men. I forget how long, if it was a year ago or years ago, I don't remember how long it's been. And you're sitting there going, this is one big bummer. Which is his purpose, one big bummer. I mean, it's interesting to see as a what-if story. It is depressing that's the last story of, I would say Charles Xavier, but they don't put him in this Doctor Strange film, even if a cameo. And the last bit for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, yeah, there's a part of me that does wish it was an R-rated, kick-ass, John Wick style movie. I do. I can't lie. I do wish for that. Like, you finally get this. I do wish for it. And like Charles, it just, it's a big bummer. Xavier is so dementia-filled. He keeps calling Logan a disappointment. And, what did you do? Because I guess, by this point, Xavier doesn't realize that he did it, not him. That Xavier did it himself. It wasn't what Logan did. And you also have this other guy, I believe his name is Caliban, that's helping them out. And Logan wants to save up money for this yacht for him and Xavier just go out to sea and enjoy the last days of their lives. But then this nurse offers Logan a lot of money. When he comes back, she's dead, and there's this little girl named Laura. The bad guys arrive, and I thought the little girl who played Laura, they did a great job casting. She wasn't annoying, she wasn't irritating, she worked rather well. And the action scenes handled, it was showcase brutality. Bad guys come in, you hear Nora, she comes out with a head that she cut off and throws it. And the agility and flipping off people, kicking off people's stomachs, slashing them, and then Wolverine is able to slash some jamotes. And when those happen, it's gratifying. Gratifying. What the hell does that mean? Gratify is gratifying. Because, Hugh Jackman started Wolverine in 2000. And then 17 years later, you finally get the Wolverine that you've been wanting to see without limitations. Hugh Jackman's done a good job acting-wise in X-Men 2, but you were wanting to go full blown. Why didn't you guys do this in the first Wolverine film? You guys think it won't make money? Deadpool 2, and this movie made money. 20th Century Fox. These films made money for you. So you're so worried about R rating, and this movie made a lot of money. Made what, $600 or so million worldwide? For an R-rated film that's 2 hours and 17 minutes, it's pretty good. Say what Deadpool 1 and 2 made a lot of money. Just, if you had put your neck out, should have done that with the first Wolverine film. Instead of the bland genericness we got with that movie. It's not even the worst film I've seen, Sally. It's not. It's just very, very disappointing. It's a very disappointing film for what could have been done. And that's why that director of that film really hasn't worked that much since. I'm not saying he never has, but not much. Now, again, Hugh Jackman gives a really good performance. This is a Logan that knows he's nearing the end. You feel empathy for him, like when the bullets have to come out so slowly and he's not healing as much as he could, and his claws, one didn't come out the whole way, so he has got to get that away. You feel his pain and his anguish. You can believe and understand why he's so mad, why he's so angry, why he's so miffed. And can you blame him? I would be the same way. And he's sitting by cemeteries drinking, and like, it made sense. What was the whole point of this? And the first X-Men, he bought into this whole, in his opinion, charade of, even when I liked a little bit that there's X-Men comics here, and Logan's looked at it as like, a lot of this is BS. There's no leotard costume asshole that'll come out and save the day. I mean, with the world the way it is, you can understand. Now, I don't know if they delved into details to why there hasn't been a New Mutant in 25 years. And wouldn't there be various other mutants? Because didn't make it seem like there was a virus that killed them all, or like in the comic, it was the villains took over. Didn't say like the case here, so it still made me go, yeah, the X-Men because of Charles Xavier, but what about all the other mutants in the world? Are they just in hiding, or just gave up, or like, I'm getting too old for the spit? Maybe they did and I missed it. And like watching this again, I'm like, okay, this is going at a good pace, and you have this bit in the hotel where there's another seizure, because Charles Xavier is pretty much a weapon of mass destruction. An unhinged, as in dementia. He doesn't mean to do it, he doesn't want to hurt anyone. You got to get these pills or shots put into him. But like, they try to kill him, and he's giving the seizure to everyone in this hotel. And it's one of the better bits of the movie where Logan has to slowly, he's able to deal with it because of his healing, and he pretty much has to claw the wall. And these people, these soldiers, these mercenaries, they're frozen. They see the guy coming, and that's like the worst feeling. You know you're dead as hell. You're a DOA. You're F'd in the A. In the ABC delicious of death. You're done like dinner. And here's this angry, bearded Wolverine coming at you, and just like right in the head or under the chin. And they don't shy away from that, which is very nice to see. Even before that, there's a pretty decent car chase. I like the bit where they catch this fence, and Logan uses it in order to do this and trip up people. Now, I still think there are flaws with the film. Yes, the tone, it's up to you whether you can deal or not deal with the tone. I wish it was there were two films. Have this film be a fun, not fun, but an interesting, contemplative, what-if story, but then one final Wolverine, badass, R-rated movie that's more of a John Wick type of entertainment, escapism nature. It goes out like a badass, into the sunset, kicked a lot of ass, took a lot of names, primal voraciousness, which he does kick ass in this as well, but I just sort of, you have your option, you can, this one's part of the timeline of X-Men, this one, when you think of it as the timeline of X-Men, it goes like, wow, it didn't matter if they did all this stuff throughout these movies. And yeah, if you look at it within timeline. But number one, I think the film is a bit too long. I'll get to one section I think could have been cut out, very much so. But the villains, I thought the villains were really lame. I thought the villains were very subpar, especially like this is the last movie of Logan. Your villains are Cyborg Hand, Iron Hand, Boyd Holbrook. Now, Boyd Holbrook in this is not given the worst performance. I'd be fair on that. But he's not an interesting villain. He's not a charismatic villain. There's really nothing to him as a villain. He's not intimidating. He's not... I'm like, this is a pushover guy. Wolverine should be able to kill him in 4.5 seconds. And Boyd Holbrook would later star in The Predator. And he was worse in that movie. Side note, the guys at Dead Pit, these guys I know, Wes and Aaron, CT and Uncle Bill, they went to school with Boyd Holbrook. They didn't talk to him, but Boyd Holbrook went to school in Kentucky. And pretty much they called him, he seemed like a Spicoli type of guy in school. I'll just say that. So, interesting that he would go up to be, in Logan and The Predator. But, like the villain, and then, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, the clone of Hugh Jackman. Like, why does it have to be a clone? Like, why could it not be Sabretooth? Or, I think in the comic it was it Sinister X? It's better, I can't remember. But, of all the villains, or even like Sabretooth, you would think, because Sabretooth, I guess you just to assume he died in X-Men 1, which I always thought was weird that'd be the way he died. I guess you just assume that. But like this knockdown drive, you think that would be the natural progression. Or the various other villains. Why did it have to be a clone of him? I just thought that was kind of a... Or I can even understand, don't use a Sabretooth or Sabretooth-like. Use a completely different type of dangerous villain. Instead, again, you just say that's too similar to Sabretooth that was in, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Of course, they tried to do something in the Wolverine. They had that stupid Adam... It could have been cool, but they made that samurai as tall as Godzilla and whatever. So I think the villains were rather lame. That's number one. Number two, going back to the pacing, when the three of them get to Eric LaSalle's house, and Eric LaSalle has a family, I think the movie stops dead in its tracks. I know a lot of people liked it, I get it, but you can have a simple scene of the three of them enjoying dinner at a diner. They stop at a diner, they have a bite to eat, they converse with each other, you have the little girl leave, and then Logan is saying some stuff. Maybe the girl, I don't know, she's playing a video game. I don't know, she's doing something. Maybe there's something at the diner or whatever. And Logan is saying something, and then Xavier's looking off. And Logan's like, "You okay, Charles? You okay?" And then Xavier goes, "I remember." Maybe he's tearing up a year ago. Or however long. I remember what happened. And then you have a side shot of Logan here and Xavier here, and you have a nice natural nighttime background, and you get some really nice music. And don't be afraid of being over sentimental in this scene, and how he remembers what happened, and saying some really nice words to Logan, some really nice things to Logan about, this day on this journey, and having this nice, simple little dinner. And maybe before that, Charles was mentioning some memories of Logan at the school. And Charles said, "This has been one of the nicest moments I've had in a long while." And then the diner gets attacked by the bad guys, and there's the villain, and then boom, boom, boom. And you could do that in a much shorter time, and to me, much more effective. Not Charles Xavier bearing his soul to a clone, which Wolverine himself, the actual, never got to hear. I think that was really lame and really crappy. Like, you're already killing off Xavier brutally. You already don't kill off Logan brutally. It's like, when is it enough? It's like this and then this and this. It's like, no, just at least have, like, that to me would have been a better. It would have shortened the pace down, because the whole thing on the farm is like what 15 minutes of the movie, give or take. To me, the movie kind of stops dead, and it's like, why do we need Eric LaSalle's family there? You really didn't. At least in my opinion, you didn't. You didn't need them at all. To me, that was kind of forced in there, not needed, and I mean, if you want the villain to kill innocent people, there's innocent people at the diner that could get killed, or other things. I mean, you could have done that at the diner. And have like this action scene in the diner, and there's a lot of other stuff you could have done, in my opinion. So I thought the pacing was hurt during that sequence, and the fact that Xavier doesn't get to bare his soul to the actual Logan, I thought was really frustrating. Maybe that's the point, but to me it was just a bit too much. And then it was predictable that Xavier would die when you saw the trailer, which by the way was a well done trailer with Hurt by Johnny Cash. When you saw the trailer, you could tell that last scene with Logan and the girl, and he's got a shovel. You know that was, oh, they buried Charles Xavier. I guessed it. You guessed it. And it was right. So whether you want to blame that on the people who made the trailer, it was predictable. So, there you go. And then, like, the whole finale, like, he gets with these kids, almost feels like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Like, when Mad Max comes across these kids, now loaded with, I mean, it's like Beyond Thunderdome without the Thunderdome, which is not a good thing. I didn't really get much of a semblance of these other kids as characters. They're just kids, and they have powers. And you see some of those powers later when they're being chased in the woods, but one kid I think has a Wolverine doll. But maybe some interactions of who they are, and or they looked up to this guy, and a little bit more of that. But most of it is like Logan just sleeping, and sleeping some more to heal from his injuries. And then the girl says one or two things, and then they'll go off across the border to safety. Logan sees the bad guys are coming, and it's a cool moment, running through the woods, slashing, ba 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 ba. Almost the same outfit he had in X-Men 3. The sort of white... And sorry, one of my cats is meowing, but I'm not going to yell at him. He can meow. I don't really yell at my cats. I don't like that. I know, we're off tangent. So I know I might be a bit annoying, so I apologize for that. But... again, the battle in the woods is fun to see, but I don't know, man. It's one of those things that it was nice to see some of the blood and gore. One little girl freezes a guy's arm and it breaks off. And Wolverine and the Laura kicking ass and working as a team. Satisfying pieces of action there. I don't know, part of me still wanted to be bigger. I don't know how, though. And it does kind of remind me of the first X-Men Origins Wolverine. Because there was another movie where Logan has this group of people who are mutants, some of them children, and he gets all of them out to safety, and then fights a guy. It's either Sabretooth or an evil clone of himself that can act like Sabretooth. So maybe it was giving me a bit of deja vu with that. And the location of the underground facility and X-Men Origins Wolverine, I think, would have worked out better because there'd be more environment to deal with and use. And plus, Logan pretty much gets his ass kicked. during that fight. And it's kind of like, oh, this is the last film he gets to do, and it's him getting his ass kicked. Yes, I get it because he's being poisoned and he's dwindling away. But he doesn't even get the last kill, the last shot. Laura has to come up and shoot the evil clone in the head and kill it. Like, you can't even let Wolverine, you can't even let Logan have the last shot. That's disappointing. That's lame. But spoilered, he's been impaled. Says some words to Laura. He dies. They bury him. They go off. The new era, the new school of mutants, whatever you want to call it. And the character is dead and buried. And I don't think we'll ever see it again. I think Hugh Jackman's pretty much done with Wolverine. I mean, hey, could eat my words. Maybe they did enough dump truck fulls of money to his house. Maybe he would, but it would have been nice to see like Logan and Deadpool. Like that would have been nice to see how they work together and an actual good version, not the one in X-Men Origins Wolverine. But, it is what it is. It will never be. What can you do? But, so it's disappointing, but shit happens. What can you say? Shit happens. With that said, thanks for watching. I do still like the film. I think the action scenes are brutal, violent, well done. I think Hugh Jackman and Charles Xavier give solid performances. The little girl does a good job as well. It's doing an Unforgiven type of tale. Decently effective. I do think the villains are a bit lame, though. I do think the pacing suffers a bit, in particular when they get to Eric LaSalle and his family's house. The fact that it's an evil clone of Wolverine, I thought, really? From what I understand, there was a choice between killing him and... I think even Hugh Jackman said, I don't know if we need to kill him. Just have him walk off with the kids. Which would have sufficed, because we know he's dying of blood poisoning. Have him get some nice moments to shine. Or maybe he's down for the count. Laura's doing it. Laura's ready to get killed. And he gets this one last... Kills his clone. And then... Yeah, I'm going to die. Yeah, I'm going to die. Someday. Just not today. We know he's going to die eventually because of his poisoning, but he'll at least be able to teach the kids a little thing or two. He's now the new Xavier to these kids. Like what Xavier did for him, he's going to do for these kids for as little time he has left. I thought that actually would have sufficed. That he has become the surrogate father. Xavier was a father to him. He's become now a father to these new mutants. And he won't have a school, but kind of a full circle, like Xavier was to them. But, they didn't do that. So it is what it is. So it's not a film like we watch a lot. But I do think like the cinematography, the music is decent. It's not music. I do wish at the end they use Hurt, like from the trailer. Instead they use When the Man Comes Around. But I think Hurt by Johnny Cash, the one they use in the trailer, would have worked best for the end credits. I don't know why they didn't use that. I like When the Man Comes Around, but I've heard that in other movies, The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, they used that song at the end credits of that movie. I thought it worked for that. But I'm like, okay, I just heard that in The Hunted with William Friedkin's film. Why not use Hurt by Johnny Cash? But so I know I have some nitpicks and stuff, but like I said, the acting, parts of the story, the action beats, the R-rated brutality, I still think it's a pretty good film. It's just not a film I give 5 out of 5, awesome, perfect. It's definitely the best of the 3 Wolverine films by far. It's definitely one of the best X-Men films in general by far. James Mangold directed it and did a lot better job in my opinion than he did in The Wolverine. like I said, the main three actors and the first, especially the first half of the story, despite how depressing it is, it's done fairly well. And like I said, it was just on a simple, nice to see Wolverine finally go berserker. Now, granted, me being greedy, I would like to see more, but even more berserker rage. That's just me. Maybe that's what I meant by I wanted a bit of bigger ending where there's all types of. Maybe they have evil mutants, not just a clone, but other evil mutants. Like X-Men 3, they did a bit of that. Also in the woods, with like the same outfit, but really going to town. And maybe some of them have different colored blood so he could cut heads off, blah, blah, blah. For his last outing, but it was nice to see a bit of that at least. Or I guess you could always play the video game X-Men Origins Wolverine. But with that said, good movie. I like it. I don't love it. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.